If you're looking to pick yourself up some coins before the end of FIFA 20, then make sure to click my link in the description to go to Yusuf and buy, and make sure you use my code Birdie at checkout to get 5% off your order. Hey guys, it's Scott here and welcome to the first episode of I Rate Your Teams for FIFA 21. The game releases in just a few days, so we're going to start things off with starter teams and starter squads now that EA have released a lot of the database ready for FIFA 21. So if you do enjoy this and want to see more, make sure you hit the thumbs up button down below, subscribe if you want to see daily FIFA 21 content, including videos and live streams each day. And if you want to get involved in more of these I Rate Your Team videos, then links are in the description to the socials where you can submit your teams. But without further ado, let's get into it. So in today's first episode, we're going to be looking at mainly Premier League based teams, as I know that is the one that most people are going to be interested in. But in future episodes, we're going to be looking at more hybrids and different leagues and everything like that. So, again, make sure to follow the socials so that you can get involved in the future. Today, we're going to take some from Twitter, some from Instagram, and a few from Discord. So, if you want to follow me on all of those, then that is where you can stay up to date with everything that I'm doing regarding YouTube and everything like that, and where you can also see extra content as well. So, let's get into the first team. So the first team that we're going to look at is Ewan's. Now he says, this is what I hope my starter team looks like with Ake and Richarlison maybe costing a bit too much. So I think we're going to see Richarlison in a lot of teams, and same with Fred and Sissoko. Now the question is whether they get chosen, because with FIFA every year there are certain players that get picked as the meta guys straight away and they cost like 30 to 70k. Even though they aren't high rated and they don't have insane stats. So if they are chosen, they're going to be ridiculously expensive. If not, I like the look of your team. I think the defense should be relatively affordable. These guys, again, purely depends on what I've just said. Podence and James should be okay. They shouldn't cost too much because their shooting and passing stats aren't incredible. And then Richarlison, again, could be expensive, but it really depends on whether he fits the meta and people think this is the guy to go for. Next up, we've got Lewis's team, so he has sent this in. Now, a couple of interesting picks in here. I think this is going to be way too expensive. Simple as that. The defense, other than Gomez, should be okay and probably won't be outrageous. Reguilon may be pushing it a little bit, but Gomez is going to be a lot, okay? He's got so many good links. He's now higher rated than before. His stats are incredible. Over 80 pace on a centre-back, as well as those defensive and physicals. He's going to be expensive. Greenwood has great links, even hyperlinks. So the question is, how meta is he? If he is very meta, he's going to cost a lot. Ndidi doesn't have the best links in the world, but has really good stats. So we'll have to wait and see on him. Llorente, I think you could do exactly what you're doing here in terms of chem, just with a Prem player. Thiago and Havertz are going to cost a ton. 85 rated from the Prem and got really, really good stats with great links. They're going to be expensive. Gabby Jesus is probably going to be one of the most expensive strikers that you can get in the Prem that is anywhere between like 81 and 86 rated, really. He's going to be a lot because of his links, his nation, his stats, everything about him. I think this is way too expensive for a starter team. Next up, let's look at Carlos's team. Now, we've got a few players that we've seen already, but a little bit of a hybrid this time. So I'm assuming Lindelof and Fred are supposed to be swapped around here, and that would make a lot more sense. Then we've got Luke Shaw here, which, again, all three of these could be decent. Sissoko, again, not outrageous stats, but it's just a question of whether he is chosen as the expensive starter guy for whatever reason this year. Henderson, again, I think you're going to see a lot of him at the start. Mason Mount as well. These two up top, they're going to be in a lot of teams. Richarlison most likely going to be more expensive than Calvert-Lewin, purely because he's going to have better weak foot and skill moves. Now, this Bundesliga side on the right is not too bad. I think you're going to see these two very, very often, and even potentially not Upamecano, but the other one whose name I have forgotten, that is the other hyperlink at centre-back for them. Tolisso, as he's now 80 rated, probably won't cost too much. So I do like this, getting a little bit of a hybrid in here, and yeah, not too shabby. Next up, we've got Yusuf, who is coming in with a slightly different one. Again, a bit of a hybrid. So we've got Galachi in goal, Upamecano and Klosterman. Now, I think he's going to be expensive. 84 pace centre-back that gets some really, really good strong links. Could cost a lot. Same with Galachi as he is in 85. His left-hand side, obviously, Rodrigo is going to be for Leeds, so he will be getting in the chemistry. Kovacic, even though he's 83 rated, probably won't cost too much. Emerson should be okay. Jota's now a Liverpool player, so his price may have gone up a little bit because of that. Barmin might be relatively cheap. Havertz is going to cost a lot, just like we said with the previous team that had him. Same with Pepe, okay? They're going to be expensive. You may not understand it, but Pepe last year was 60,000 coins as an 83 rated player. So you've really got to watch out. And even though these players aren't insanely high rated, some of them are going to be very, very expensive. So I would advise going for players that don't look quite as good and are from slightly lower rated teams, because they're going to cost significantly less for your starter squads. Next up, we've got Jack. Now, let's have a look at this. So Taylor and James, good. Ben White and Lindelof, good choices. Pope, pretty good as well. Fred, Almiron and Maddison, again, you've not gone too high, which I like. I think that's decent right here. However, you've then gone with Coutinho, who is going to be a Barca card. I think he's going to be expensive. Gabby Jesus and Richarlison are also probably going to cost a lot. Gabriel Jesus, probably going to be one of the more expensive starter players. And you're probably going to be looking at anywhere from between 25 to 75k for the guy. So I would probably tone this bit down. But I'd say the rest of it is looking like decent value and shouldn't cost you too much. And I like the team. So we are going to look at a couple of Instagram teams. If you're not following me on there, then we're going to be posting stuff every single day to do with 6 PM content and to do with the videos that we've released. So make sure you're following. The link will be in the description. Now, a lot of the people on Instagram sent teams that were nothing to do with the Premier League, which is what we're starting off with today. So that is why we're only going to look at a couple of them. But he says that he's basically got a very balanced team, and then on the bench he's got some other options that might be a bit more expensive. So let's open this up and see what we are dealing with. Again, defense, very, very well balanced, not too expensive. Midfield, probably going to start ramping up in price, okay? Ndidi we talked about before. Ziyech, probably going to cost a lot purely because of his links and his ridiculous passing and dribbling. Van der Beek, Man U, great stats, great links, going to be expensive. Jota's Liverpool might be a bit more expensive than he was previously. Ferran Torres would probably be on the limit of being really expensive and not, so I think he will actually be relatively affordable. And then Richarlison we spoke about an absolute ton already. Your more expensive options down here. Bergwijn, I agree. Jesus, yep. Sanchez, Tierney, Patricio. Pepe's probably going to cost a lot. Thiago, Havertz, Pulisic, yeah, are going to be very expensive. So I think you know your budgeting quite well. Maybe tone down the midfield a tiny bit. Next up is Sam's team, so we're going to open this one up here and see what we have got. This is much more of a budget team. I like this a lot. You've thought about it well. None of these should be outrageously expensive. Sissoko and Fred, we could be unlucky and they end up costing a ton, a little bit like last year's Sissoko. Fleck, Almiron, good choices. Calvert-Lewin shouldn't be too much. Almiron, I think your three biggest risks in terms of cost here are Sissoko, Fred, and Antonio. Other than that, I think the rest are going to be very, very good value. And I think that you've, again, sincerely thought about the fact that you don't want to push it too far. So, nice work. And then the last Instagram one that we're going to look at today, because the rest are not really based on the Premier League, is going to be Aram's team. So, this is his Premier League starter team. Now, basically running into the same problem that a couple of other people have done. Defense, great, other than Maguire. I'd probably swap him for someone lower rated, but has better pace, right? Because otherwise, he's going to be a bit of a bust. He's going to be a struggle, especially dealing against people that at the start of the year go for 90 plus pace players. They don't care about any of their other stats, purely go for pace. Midfield is exactly the same as previous ones we've talked about. There's a chance that some of these could become mega expensive. So do have alternative players that you'd be happy putting in case any of these come out and cost an absolute bomb. Your front three, probably going to be very expensive. Richarlison we've talked about more than any other player, I swear, today. He could be a lot. Adama is going to be expensive, right? This year, he is now a gold right wing to start off the year. People loved him last year. Absolutely loved him. Used him for months and months and months. He's one of the quickest players in the game. Has insane dribbling, insane strength. People aren't going to care about his shooting or his weak foot. This guy's probably going to cost a ton. I think the same with St. Maximin. 5-star skills, 4-star weak foot most likely. Great pace, great dribbling, good shooting, good passing. Probably going to be a lot. So I would sort of go down the route that you've gone with your defense in terms of ratings and value and stuff like that. Maybe tone down the midfield a little bit, or just wait to see their prices and have some alternatives. I think your front three are going to be too much. Sorry, but those are just my thoughts. Let's move over to Discord. So we are now going to jump into our Discord. Again, if you are not part of it, then make sure you join it, right? Here is our starter squads for vids room, and we're going to have a lot of rooms that are going to get a little bit of a revamp before FIFA 21 comes out. But this is a place where you can have discussions, you can organise friendlies between each other, help each other out with co-op, you can play pro clubs with people, everything like that, and chat. As well as stuff outside of FIFA, whether it be football or any other subject. So make sure you join, as it is a nice community that we are going to try and really, really build this FIFA. So, we're going to start off with Adam here. And this is his starter. So, Kepa in goal, Fredericks van Aanholt, Bailly, Lindelof. Solid. Madison, Fred and Barmin. Good. Again. Should be decent value. Podence, James, and Richarlison. I mean, Fred's been in quite a few teams, but there is no player that's been in more than Richarlison, is there? So, I really think he's going to be the guy this year. I beg that he has just packed an absolute load, and so he does come in as really cheap. But if not, don't be surprised by the amount of demand behind him that pushes his price up. Other than that, I think these are decent. Right? I don't think you've gone too far with your players. I think that you've kept it conservative and realistic, which is good, right? Very, very nicely done. Because some people have gone way too high with their expectations for a starter squad. So, nice team. Now, Robbo has come in here saying that this is his day one squad, so you can use the 10 hours to play games. 70 plus pace centre-back, 75 plus defensive mids, 8 plus pace attackers. But we're all expensive to buy during the first day, so went for this. Okay. Let's have a little look. Keita, Taylor, then Donker, Alonso. Interesting. I see the logic. Kolasinac and Baldock. James Rodriguez, Almiron. Very attacking based, I guess. McNeil, very well rounded card. Danny Ings and Minamino. This is very, very different to anything else we've seen, which I like. And I rate that a hell of a lot. Now, in-game, you want to play it like this. So McNeil at left-back, Kolasinac centre-back, Baldock, then Donker moves up to CDM, Alonso up to CDM, James through the middle, Almiron, Minamino at Ram and Lam, and then Danny Ings utilising the new runs up front. Hopefully, as you say, using those new features and the run tactics and everything like that, someone like Danny Ings is going to be viable. Same with other players that normally, because they're slow, they don't have the dribbling, aren't used that much, like a Harry Kane. If we can actually make them make the runs that we want, they could be monsters this year. So, this looks a bit bizarre before you put it in-game. In-game, I think it looks a lot better than it does as a starter squad. Obviously, with your chemistry, it's going to be a bit interesting to see how some of the players perform. But I do like it, and it is very different to everybody else's team. It shouldn't be too expensive either. Like, I think James, probably your only guy in here that's maybe going to have a bit of expense to him. The rest look like very good budget players, so very good team. Next up, we've got Jack, who is a West Ham fan. Can you tell? So he's got a West Ham left side. Felipe Anderson, 81 rated, but probably going to be expensive, right? Has great pace, great dribbling, good shooting, good passing for an 81. Those are great stats. He's probably also going to have double 4-star. I imagine him to be pretty expensive. Antonio, we talked about before. He cost a lot in previous FIFAs in early access, so don't expect him to be really, really cheap. Martin, Sanchez, and Celik on the right-hand side are interesting links. And because you've broken out into a different league, they should be cheaper than players with the same stats in the Premier League. Madison, Souček is okay. Ake, Soyuncu, and Pope. Not a bad team. Next up, we've got Simpsons with the greatest suggestion that we've had so far. So, Harvey Barnes, Jamie Vardy, Under, Tielemans, Madison, and Didi, Soyuncu, Schmeichel, Evans, Pereira. And then Tierney in here. I mean, get him out of there. Obviously, we're going to put in Christian Fuchs here. This is by far the best team that anyone has submitted today. Doesn't really get much better than that, to be honest with you. And that is actually going to be the last team that we look at today. So thank you very, very much, everyone that submitted their teams. I really appreciate it. As I said before, if you want to get involved in these, then make sure you are following me on the socials that are on your screen right here, as well as in the description, Twitter, Instagram, and Discord. And it would be awesome to see you get involved in these. If you want to see more, make sure you support this with a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and let's get on that FIFA 21 hype train, shall we? I'll see you tomorrow for another video. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.